Hey, what's up guys, it's TechZoomer talking to you here. And in today's video, I want to compare the 15-inch MacBook Air against the 16-inch MacBook Pro. Because these two computers are the plus-sized models of the MacBook lineup. And so, in today's video, I want to compare them both. See, what are the differences and why does the 16-inch MacBook Pro starts at $2,500 and the 15-inch MacBook Air starts at $1,300. So, $1,200 of difference. I've used the M2 MacBook Air on July last year for about 3 weeks, and yes, I have experience using the M2 MacBook Air. I have not bought yet the 15-inch MacBook Air because currently I'm reviewing another thing, and I think you can guess it by this. If you are very attentive to what my background looks like, go find out where is the Easter egg. But of course, the 15-inch MacBook Air was just launched on WWDC together with Apple Vision Pro, M2 Ultra Mac Studio and Mac Pro, and so I think it's pretty a good time to talk about it. Should you buy the 15-inch MacBook Air? This comes out after the reviews, all the embargo videos have came out, so this video is more like, should you buy the 15-inch MacBook Air, or my experience with almost 2 years now using the 16-inch MacBook Pro, which computer should you get? So, if you are excited, don't forget to drop a like down below, subscribe to the channel, let's get started. So, this is a 16-inch MacBook Pro. Yes, my MacBook Pro. This is the M1 Max chip, has 32 GB of RAM, has I think 32 GPU cores, 10 CPU cores. This is the full-fat M1 Max. I think I've not spec'd out to 64 GB of RAM, only 32, but that's okay. This was at the time $3,500. This spec'd out computer was really expensive, but it was worth it. 2 years later I can say this is my favorite piece of technology that I've ever bought. But now Apple launched the 15-inch MacBook Air, and last year I've used the M2 MacBook Air 13-inch for making my videos, editing my videos, exporting my videos, publishing videos, making thumbnails, everything that I do for my channel. I ran my channel for 2 weeks on that computer, and if you go check out my other reviews on that computer like 1 year ago, you will see that the 13-inch MacBook Air with the M2 chip was way more than enough to run my channel. I prefer having the extra power, the extra real estate to bring more things, more effects, and having that peace of mind that this computer will still be relevant in a few years. I also reviewed the M2 Mac Mini and use it to run my channel for 2 weeks. So the M2 will be just fine for you. But I've told you, the M2 MacBook Air was able to run my channel. So now that I have the 16-inch computer, that Apple launched the 15-inch MacBook Air, now do I regret buying the 16-inch MacBook Pro? And should you buy the 15-inch MacBook Pro instead? Well, the real question is, do you want a big screen? Because if you don't want a big screen, the 13-inch MacBook Air is the ideal for you. Now, Apple has dropped the price by $100, costs you $1,100, and I think it's a pretty good deal. Amazing bezel to screen ratio, amazing new hardware, amazing new design, which is from last year, but still very new with the 15-inch MacBook Air. Incredible keyboard, the best trackpad in the business. It only has 2 USB-C ports, but it has a MagSafe port, so it saves you 1 USB-C port from charging, has headphone jack, it has 4 beautiful colors, so I think that computer is the computer to buy if you don't really care about screen size. But if you are looking for the 13-inch MacBook Air and thinking, I could use a little bit more space on that display, then before the 15-inch MacBook Air, you only had one option, and spend an extra $1,300, $1,400 and buy the 16-inch MacBook Pro. That starts at $2,500 with the M2 Pro chip. But I think that computer is very expensive for 95% of people. If you are not running a YouTube channel, a 3D rendering job or coding job, a job that actually requires you to have a very powerful computer, then I think that the 15-inch MacBook Air will be ideal for you. Because the 15-inch MacBook Air has the perfect screen size for everyone. It has amazing port selection, still the same as the M2 MacBook Air 13-inch, but I still think that port selection is way more than enough for most people. It has an amazing keyboard, the best in the game, the best trackpad in the game. Again, the same computer has the 13-inch M2 MacBook Air. But when compared to the 16-inch MacBook Pro, it only loses in 2 factors, the speakers and the display. The display is an obvious factor. This has the mini LED, a promotion-capable display with 120 Hz. That one has an LCD, 15-inch P3 color gamut display. That display runs at 60 Hz. This runs at a variable refresh rate of 120, much better. The colors are much better, much brighter. This can eat up, I think, until 1200 nits, while that one is 500 nits capable. So the differences between this one and the M2 MacBook Air 13-inch are huge. And the 15-inch is the same screen as the 13-inch, but bigger. So, yeah, what can I say? I have compared these two computers before, the 13-inch against the 16-inch. Now, the only difference is the bigger size display and the bigger size in general on the computer on the MacBook Air. So, now that we have a bigger version of the 13-inch MacBook Air, should you buy it against the 16-inch MacBook Pro? Well, I think you should, because most people before were asking me, oh, I want a big computer, the 13-inch is not enough, I want a bigger screen, I want a bigger keyboard. The keyboard is the same size though, so if you don't like the keyboard on the 13-inch, you won't like it on the 15-inch, but still, I understand that you really want a bigger size screen, but for $200 more, makes sense to buy the 15-inch MacBook Air. Now, you have the option. Before you had to buy the $1,400 more expensive version, the 16-inch MacBook Pro, which would be overkill for most people. But now, with the 15-inch MacBook Air, you have an option to buy a not that much expensive computer compared to the 13-inch option, but bigger, if that's what matters. But again, I ask you to reconsider, because the 15-inch MacBook Air is kind of a trap, the same way that the 13-inch MacBook Air was a trap last year, and I warned you guys, I really warned you, and now it's even more true, because the 15-inch MacBook Air only comes with 8 GB of RAM and 256 GB of storage, bin storage. So be careful with that. And also comes with the M2 chip. So if you want 512 GB of storage, if you want the 16 GB of RAM and the non-bin version M2, you will be spending more, $500 more than you would be spending on the beginning. So this is easily now an $1,800 computer, which, listen to this, is close to the 14-inch MacBook Pro. And now you are talking about, why the 14-inch? The 15-inch has a bigger display. I don't want a 14-inch computer. Well, listen to this. These displays are huge. And the 15-inch MacBook Air has a 15.3 size display, while the 14-inch has a 14.1 inch size display. But next to each other, they look very, very close. So you would probably notice the difference. While the 14-inch display is much better, is 120 Hz capable, is the same display present on the 16-inch MacBook Pro, but a little bit smaller, not that much smaller, but a little bit smaller. The computer itself is more compact, it's smaller, it's thicker, yes, but it's smaller. And I think on backpacks, the portability factor doesn't rely on the thickness of the laptop, but on the length or the width of the laptop, not the thickness. So it makes sense that a smaller, less wide computer is better for carrying around, and it's more portable in general. So I think that the 14-inch MacBook Pro has a bigger screen, is more portable, and if you are looking for a non-base model 15-inch MacBook Air, the 14-inch MacBook Pro has double the storage for base model, has double the RAM, so 16 GB of RAM, 512 GB of storage, and the M2 Pro chip, which is really, really good, much better than the M2 in GPU, CPU, everything. So I think that if you are looking to spec the 15-inch MacBook Air and you're looking for a bigger sized computer, then the perfect option for you would be the 14-inch MacBook Pro. I know that it's a little bit smaller, and if you don't really want to compromise on size, again, go for the 15-inch MacBook Air. But I think that you will be very, very happy with the 14-inch MacBook Pro. As for the 16-inch MacBook Pro though, this computer is more expensive, a lot more expensive. Costs you $500 more, base model, and when you start speccing it out, it will be more expensive. But if you really want a big size computer and you don't really want the 14-inch MacBook Pro and you want to spec out the 15-inch MacBook Air, then I would recommend you taking a look at the M1 Max version of the 16-inch MacBook Pro. Not the M2 Max, the most current one, no, the M1 Max one. Sorry for that, I was trying to say the M1 Pro. Yes, the M1 Pro costs you $1,900, while the M1 Max in the 16-inch form will cost you around $2,400 refurbished. But I think it's a pretty good deal. But again, if you want to compare the prices, I think that the M1 Pro is a lot closer to the M2 MacBook Air. Still, the M1 Pro is a way better chip than the M2. So don't be worried on that. Those computers are cheaper. Now you can get them for around $1,800, which would be the same price as the 15-inch MacBook Air with double the storage and double the RAM. And so, at that price, I would totally recommend you getting the 16-inch MacBook Pro. This computer is heavier, thicker, less portable, but it has a way better screen, way better battery life, more ports than I/O, has a better screen in general. So there's tons of advantages going for this computer. It has faster storage, double double the RAM. If you get the M1 Max version, you will get 24 GPU cores minimum, 10 CPU cores, extremely fast chip, extremely powerful. It will cost you around $2,400, so not that pricey, with the package of the 16-inch MacBook Pro, which is the same as the current 16-inch M2 Max MacBook Pro. I'm very happy with this computer. For the last 3 years, have been using it, and I can say that it's the perfect machine. Of course, it's expensive, yes, and that's why Apple created the 15-inch MacBook Air. But as I told you last year, the 15-inch MacBook Air, as well as the base model 13-inch MacBook Air, are only a good deal if you don't spec them out. If you start specing them out, then they will start getting not that big of a deal, and they will get really close to the 14-inch MacBook Pro with the M2 Pro chip and the used M1 Max 16-inch MacBook Pro. So that's for you to decide. Do you want the biggest size possible? Then I totally recommend you spending a little bit extra cash and getting the 16-inch M1 Max. But if you want to spend the least amount of money but getting the biggest computer possible, the 15-inch MacBook Air is for you. And if you don't really care about that, just want to get the best display and the biggest display, then the M2 Max MacBook Pro is for you. Those are very tough choices you have to make, but think like this. If you want to spec out the 15-inch MacBook Air, don't get it. If you want to spec out the 13-inch MacBook Air, well, analyze. Don't get the storage, get the RAM, don't get both. And if you want to spec out anything on those two computers even more, then there's not even worth it to think about, and get the 14-inch MacBook Pro. And again, to finish this video, first, before you buy any of these computers, go on the market, try to find a refurbished 14-inch MacBook Pro with the M1 Pro chip. That computer costs you around $1,400 now, and it's a steal. It has the same hardware as the M2 Pro version, the amazing 14-inch mini LED screen. It has the same keyboard, the same speakers, the same battery life, the same I/O, which is one more port than the MacBook Airs. So it has 3 Thunderbolt ports, it has HDMI, has SD card slot, it has MagSafe, so it has everything that the MacBook Air has, plus the SD card slot, HDMI, and one more Thunderbolt port. So you can see that these computers have insane I/O. All of these computers have a 1080p webcam, and all of these computers have the new design, the bezel-less design. Although the 16-inch MacBook Pro has thinner bezels than the MacBook Air, so the 15-inch MacBook Air, because it has thicker bezels than the 14-inch MacBook Pro, the size of the screens, when you put them side to side, will be more of the same. The 15-inch MacBook Air will be a bulkier computer in terms of size, a bigger computer, a bigger, more voluminous computer in general, but the 14-inch MacBook Pro, it's a little bit more compact, thicker, and the screen is about the same size because of the bezel size. Although, if you compare them side to side, they seem to be a little bit of difference in size, but when you open up the display, you will notice that they will really close just because of the thickness of the bezels on those computers. So, going back to the first question of this video, which computer should you buy, the 15-inch MacBook Air or the 16-inch MacBook Pro? Well, as I told you, very complicated question, but to summarize, if you want to spend less than $1,500 and you want a big size computer, the MacBook Air is for you. But if you are willing to spend more than that, then I would take a look at the M1 Max 16-inch MacBook Pro first, and then if the performance is not for you, or if you cannot find that computer, go for the M2 Max. But that computer is hard to recommend, really expensive, and I don't know, the 14-inch MacBook Pro seems to be a better option in my opinion. So let me know in the comments below what you think. While you're there, don't forget to drop a like down below, subscribe to my channel. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to follow my social networks, Twitter and Instagram. This has been Techsummer talking to you here. Bye bye.